What's up, guys? It's Friday, September 18th, 2020, and this is Fritzcast. We're streaming live on all my platforms through Restream, and so I'll skip going over all of those. You already know because you're watching on one of them probably. So Facebook, YouTube, DLive, a couple other ones out there too. It's been 2 weeks since I put out an episode. Last week I had recorded an episode last Friday with a gentleman from Twitter, Joe Hartman, who is a libertarian running for state Senate seat, I believe it was. And me and him, we talked. We had a great conversation for about an hour, and I was doing it on Jitsi, which is this nice little open source recording program, kind of like Zoom, you know. And it only recorded and saved a minute and 24 seconds of it. So that got scrapped, and I really apologize to him completely for it because some technical error happened between Jitsi and it saving the file to Dropbox, which was, probably dumb on my end, especially considering I have software right in front of me, OBS, that can take what I'm doing on Jitsi and record it and whatever. You make mistakes. So Joe Hartman will be rescheduled, and we will have him on the show. But great conversation with him. Very interesting fella. A lot to talk about, philosophically speaking, libertarian-wise, which is really where I hit it off with him. It became so much less about the fact that he's a candidate running for office, and more about what plays into being a libertarian, and his ideology. And that's the stuff that I love. That's the stuff that I eat up. It's fun to talk about campaign stuff a little bit. Not so much now in the times of COVID, because there's not much campaign stuff going on. Right now, especially on 4-year elections with presidential elections, this is like the height of podcasting if you're in politics, if you talk about politics. This is where everything's going on, everything's happening. There's so much to go off of, and in COVID times, it's all kind of, there's not big campaigns going on. There's not big campaign stops going on. That being said, though, I have to say, I think it's going to be in October. I think it's October 1st. Joe Jorgensen's coming to Wilmington, Delaware, which I'm going to tell you, I'm nerdy and all that. I signed up to not only attend, but to volunteer and help out, and I'm talking with the Delaware coordination team about that. So as I find out more about that, because details are a little lax right now, as I find out more about that, I'll let you guys know. Might even have the phone juiced up, live stream, see if there's people to talk to there. Do a little Fritzcast look at one of these Joe Jorgensen bus events, and just in case it's coming to your city anytime soon, and you're thinking about checking it out. I think it will be a fun thing to look at. So we'll keep up on that. You can see I'm toying around with some stuff too. Like down below, we have some text scrolling now. This is not high tech. All right, it's not, but it's just the normal stuff that I give you. Some of the websites, some advertisements. I need people to subscribe. I need people to like, share, if it's something that you're digging. Because it's helpful. So every little bit counts, and I'm working on some graphics and stuff to have up too. This one's going to look kind of goofy. I was working on it. I'm trying to get like a lower graphic image down below. This is what I got. As you can see, I have to peek my head up. I'm going to have to redesign it completely because if I try to, have it cover the entirety of the screen, it takes up like more than the lower third. I'm still toying with this crap, all right? I'm still an amateur when it comes to this. Cut me some slack, all right? For real. Cut me some slack. So last week, the bungled episode, obviously, that kind of sucks. But my daughter did turn 1 last Saturday, I think it was. That was the 12th. Yep. So she turned 1, and I did a big blog post about that at Fritzcast, Frit database. I forget the freaking website now. That's my database. I'll have that linked in the show notes when this goes up as the podcast, which will be tonight/tomorrow, and then it'll get shared. So it is on my Twitter if you're following my Twitter. In fact, I can pull it up right now. Might as well pull it up right now. Just because I feel like a dork that I don't remember what the link is. But that's beside the point. It'll be it'll be in the show notes. But just to give you not to read it entirely or give away everything that I wrote on it entirely. It's been insane to think that I've gone a whole year as a father, and that she has turned 1. Fritzcast, that's what it is. Go to the Chrome window. There it is. fritzcastdatabase.wordpress.com. Maybe one of these days I'll pay to get a web domain, so it'll just be fritzcast.com, and I'll have all your fritzcast.com needs or whatever. I'm not going to read this in the entirety, but you can get some some very rarity pictures. I don't like to share too many pictures of my daughter out there, just because internet and social media is forever. But there's something that you get for her. She loves The Lion King. Absolutely loves The Lion King. So we got her Lion King, literally everything. And that was me mere maybe like an hour or two after she was born. Which the very defining moment. This moment is burned into my head. The exact emotions I felt for that picture burned in my head, burned in my heart. Never will forget that moment at all. But in there, I recall, and in the database, if you don't follow my database, I tout it out there for the parents, for you parents out there, for you people interested. You have to go out of your way to go do it. I try not to tout it out there. It's not a tell-all. It's not going to tell you how to be the world's best dad because, face it, I'm still learning how to do this stuff too. But it's just a little recollection of the past year of her life. Some of her milestones and stuff. We went to her doctor's appointment today, and every doctor's appointment we've gone to, the doctor said the same thing. Your kid's healthy. You're doing everything right. Don't stress about, if don't stress about if you're doing good, because you are. But I'm rambling. Let me get back to my point here. The fact that it's been a year is insane. And I guess part of that is because 2020 is, been full of suck with COVID and now presidential campaigns going on. Breaking news just now, just within the last hour, it's been reported that Ruth Bader Ginsburg has passed away, which, now the whole internet's going to be on fire for that. But COVID, everything seemed to slow down to a crawl. A lot of people look at 2020 and think it has lasted 40 years already. And if that's the case, it's just I look at how it's been a year since my daughter's been born, a whole year of development that she's gone through, and it's been fun to watch. That's why I blog about it a little bit. And I think probably not every single episode of Fritzcast, but a lot of episodes, I probably at some point end up talking about her and something about fatherhood, because I love it. It's great. It's great. Is it for everybody? No, it's not for everybody. I'm not that guy that goes around saying, you know what you guys need to do? You need to have a kid. I'm actually quite the opposite, because there's a lot of times where, people ask me and I go, you kidding? I don't know. So that's just something to throw out there. If it piques your interest, go check it out. You can read up all about my kid, which I just said I try to keep that private, but not on that front. So last week, if I had an episode, it would have been an awesome. It would have been an awesome interview with Joe Hartman. So Joe, if you're listening, and we're already plotting to redo it, and there's a specific thing that you talked about that I want to hit up on. But one of the things that came into my mind for the episode this week, and sometimes this gets like, I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know if you feel as tired as I do sometimes, because face it, sometimes the world can just be tiring depending on what's going on. And sometimes looking over, news article after news article, story after story, some things just get tiring. Like you get drained. So drained to the point where, I sat down and I thought, like, over the course of this past week, with how busy some of the things have been at home and all that, like, you get to a point where you're like, I don't know if I even want to sit down in front of my webcam and do this thing. I don't know if I want to do an episode this week. And I think when you get to those points, you really have to start, maybe it's a moving away from current events and focusing on something else, finding a topic or a subject that, related to what your show is, politics, but from a completely different angle, or just a solitary focus. And it just so happened that it landed in my lap yesterday. I thought about doing a live stream yesterday to make it just a teensy bit more relevant. But yesterday was Constitution Day, which if you're not a political savvy, nerdy type of person, you probably hear it's Constitution Day and go, it's just one of those. It's like National Pizza Day. Who cares? If you're interested in it, you take something away from it. If you're not, it's whatever. You don't really care. But considering it's the Constitution, I think that libertarians especially have a unique position to talk about the Constitution of the United States. And there's a reason why I believe that we have a unique position, because number one, it's being in the libertarian camp is like you can't find two libertarians that think alike or agree on, anything fully. It was so interesting being on Twitter, being on Facebook, and interacting with some of the other libertarian people that I interact with, seeing their takes on the Constitution, because there's a whole swath of libertarians that think that the Constitution is, a failed document and just antithetical to libertarianism. You have a whole nother wave of what I call libertarian constitutionalists who have those core tenets of libertarianism, but they also have that respect and admiration for the Constitution and what it should be. And then there's the idea of what is the Constitution, what is it supposed to be, and what is it now, today. There's lots of different angles that you could take over the Constitution, and it's amazing how many different viewpoints you can get on this. A wide variety of different thoughts and opinions on this. And forgive me, I'm looking for a quote that I want to throw in here. I think I found it. Yep. So that'll be in the mix too. So when people ask me about the Constitution, I think I'm torn. And I'm torn because I'll tell you, I go back and I listen to past episodes of Fritzcast. I do this periodically, probably once a week. I'll pull up an episode of Fritzcast that I did in years prior. And the fact that I've been running this since 2015, that's a lot of material that you can gloss through. If you're ever feeling up for a daunting challenge, go back and listen from episode 1 all the way up till now. You're going to waste so many hours of your life. But there's hidden gems all throughout there. That's what I try to do, though. I try to, like, when, I tie it into stupid hashtags like Throwback Thursday. Everybody, people show pictures of themselves from 10 years ago or whatever. I pull up a podcast episode from 2016, 2017, 2018, and I try just to find a little snippet that sounds interesting. I listened to one not that long ago where I remember talking about the Constitution of the United States, and I said something along the lines of, I'm not a constitutionalist, and it took me, sometimes your own words can take you by surprise. You will stop and you will say, wait, I said that? I did what I listened and I said I wasn't a constitution. I wasn't a constitutionalist. And I said I was a declarationist. And it's because I have a lot of respect for the Declaration of Independence. One second. I said I was a declarationist because, there's certain things in the Declaration of Independence that just, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which, by the way, that's a phrase that Joe Biden couldn't say. I believe he sat in front of his microphone going, we hold these truths, but the thing. That's beside the point. It also says that governments are established among men to secure these rights. I said I'm a declarationist because the Declaration of Independence, as a statement against England and this declaration of we are separating from you, it states that we hold those truths to be self-evident, that they're just, these things just are, and that people have unalienable rights that are unquestionable. They are not granted by the government. And this is where I have, hang-ups with the Constitution in a sense. Because a lot of people on Constitution Day, when you ask them, hey, you have a favorite part of the Constitution, which is, a very nerdy question to ask somebody, they will say, a lot of people will say the Bill of Rights. They'll say the Bill of Rights, your First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom to peaceably assemble and protest. They'll start naming off all the other amendments. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Fourth Amendment, right to privacy and protection. When it comes to the Bill of Rights, I have a lot of hang-ups on the Bill of Rights because there's a very rich history in the Constitution, what went into playing in making the Constitution. The Bill of Rights was a compromise, and I'm gonna play a clip from Ben Sass that I want to play off of. So let's bring up the Chrome window. We'll play the Joe Biden thing in a little bit. This is what it is. Listen to this.
The Constitution is not some list of the limited rights that the people have, because in our system, the government is limited and the people's rights are limitless. And the founders back in Philadelphia in 1787 and 1789, they had a big, long debate about this. And they said, well, this is tough because people are always used to having their rights listed. Shouldn't we list them? And they said, no, we will not list them. We will not put the rights in the document, because if we put the rights in the document, at some point the list will end and people will assume that is the end of their rights. And so there was a picture that they had in their mind. Imagine a tiny little island surrounded by a giant ocean. Throughout human history, people have believed that the island is your rights and the ocean is the powers of government. And the American founders said this picture is exactly backwards, because the island is the little set of enumerated powers that we the people give the government, and the ocean is the limitless rights of people who were created with dignity. And yet they said, wait a minute, if we don't list them at all, might people get confused? Let's list a few. And so as a compromise, they said, well, outside the document, let's add the Bill of Rights. So think about this. The first 10 amendments are not in the Constitution proper. The Constitution is just enumerated powers for the government. But then in the Bill of Rights, they said, let's list a few rights just so no one's confused. In fact, we'll start with the most important one. We'll rank order them. Okay, what should we list first? Let's list the most important thing. What's listed first? Religion and speech and press and assembly and the right of redress of grievances. It's a dog's breakfast. It's a laundry list. They couldn't list just one thing first because, again, they wanted to scream, and the structure of their document screams, all the rights are the people's. And so then when you go through the Second Amendment, near and dear to all of our hearts here, when you get to the Ninth and 10th Amendment, what do they conclude by saying? There's no end to this list. The Ninth and 10th Amendments say, any right not listed here is still a right for the people. And any power not given to the federal government here is still a power that the federal government doesn't have.
Now that, when I first heard that little speech, if you will, from Ben Sass, it really put some perspective into my mind that, you know, and I'm not going to go into some of the more nuanced, bits here, because there's a lot of history that you can dive into. There's a lot of different angles that you can go off of, and there's a lot of information to go off of. But they were reluctant to make a Bill of Rights. They were reluctant to do that because when you start listing out rights in a document, it seems as though it gives the vibe that these rights are what are being granted by the government, and that is not the system that America was founded on. Not from the Constitution, not in the Bill of Rights, and certainly not from the document that started it all, the Declaration of Independence. It says inalienable rights. These are rights that you have, and not only that, but when we talk about this, many people just see it in this tunnel vision, kaleidoscope of America. That's not what the words state. The words state that they're unalienable right. These are rights that everybody had, not just Americans, the world. This is what mankind, people, are born with. These are rights that people have. Governments don't grant them. Governments are made to attempt to protect them. And I think it's very important to analyze these things with that scope of, with that frame of mind, inside that scope. Because all too often, I think, in debates, when I get into ideological debates with people, all too often it becomes the government should do this, the government should do that, and again, the American founding was not on a founding of these are, we're going to make list upon list of things that we believe that the federal government should handle. Listen to what he said about the 9th and 10th Amendment. Okay, the 9th Amendment. I got to pull it up. I really do. Just so I get the passage right. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Basically, the 9th Amendment at its heart says yeah, we started a list of rights, but just because we did doesn't mean that this is the end all be all. Really, as Ben Sass said, those rights are unlimited. They're unlimited rights of the people. And the documents at their core, the Constitution is drafted up to pretty much define how the government is run and what power the government does have and in what circumstances the government has that power. That's why I want to give you this next clip from Mike Lee.
Perhaps most importantly, it reminds them that government isn't everything. Government is just the official collective use of coercive force. It's nothing more than that. And the Constitution consists of a set of rules about how official collective force may and may not be utilized.
A document of unique genius, I think you believe.
Yes, of unique genius written by wise men who I believe were raised up by God to that very purpose. These were unusually gifted individuals who happened to be living on the same part of the same planet at the same time. We're very fortunate that they were brought together at that time in defense of liberty. They really, most of them, I think, had relatively little to gain from the revolutionary effort and then later from the constitutional effort, other than the fact that they wanted a land that would be better for their posterity. Certainly would have been easier for them, in many respects, for them to have come up with a different, more efficient system of government, and it probably would have inured to their political and financial benefit to have concentrated power more than they did. Instead, they dispersed it, which is exactly what needed to happen.
Yeah, I sort of pined for the days when our political leaders would put a little skin in the game, and in this case, they were putting their heads on the block.
Yes.
And I think few people that don't know the history appreciate that they were sacrificing everything, their property, their families, and potentially their lives if King George got a hold of them.
Yeah, absolutely. This was their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor, and there was no exaggeration to say that. In those moments in particular, it would have been tempting to fall for what my wife and I have come to call emergency socialism, which is also known as socialism. I mean, anytime government exceeds its bounds and starts doing things that government can't do and government isn't supposed to do, it's always under the guise of an emergency. There is always an emergency that is at the heart of a drift in that direction. And that's why the Constitution's never been more important than it is right now.
That was from Kibbe on Liberty. It's actually an episode that's forthcoming. If it's not already up, it will be shortly. But that's the Constitution. The Constitution is not a grantor of rights. It's one of the biggest things that I can't wrap my head around when people talk about your rights, because they don't come from the government. In fact, history would tell us, American history would tell us that has failed on so many different levels. If you honestly think about it, it has the government, the United States government, throughout the years has been used and abused those rights. Even though it is a document drafted to protect rights of the individual, history doesn't live up to that. History really doesn't live up to that, and that's why I want to play. That's why when we talk about Constitution Day, it can't just be all rainbows and butterflies. It can't just all be positive talk. We have to acknowledge the shortcomings and the failings, some of the utter failings. Think about that. This is one of my favorite speech. This is one of my favorite clips from a speech that I'm about to share with you right now. This one.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China, or even Russia, or any totalitarian country. Maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
That much is true. And that's why when we talk about it, it can't just all be positive. We really do have to acknowledge the failings throughout the years, and it hasn't stopped now. There's been fights on the floor of the House and the Senate from some of the people that I've already played. Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, Mike Lee, Justin Amash, against how America's been conducting war for the past 20 years. Data collection, your Fourth Amendment rights are always under threat by agencies like the NSA, the TSA, so many others, and there's so many other abuses as well. And it's just amazing to me that a document that was drafted to define and limit those powers of the federal government, specifically the federal government too. You'll notice the 10th Amendment, I believe, states that anything not listed in this document is still a right of the people or a right to the states for their authority. And it's just amazing because America today is far and removed from any of that. When we talk about America today, we talk about it's straight national. It is straight national, not a state by state by state by state basis, which, considering how large America is, and it's amazing that at the founding of America, they thought at this level, with only 13 colonies becoming states, about the need for the states to be empowered and not the federal government to have its hand in everything. And now the federal government has its hand in almost everything, and the states seem far, far less powerful and significant. And it's amazing because when you talk to people about national elections going on, they know everything about it. You ask them about their local elections, though, you really have to dig deep to get to those people talking about their local elections. It's rather crazy when you think about it. But let me, last clip, promise. Small one, too. Thomas Massey.
Congressman Thomas Massey says his favorite part is the 9th Amendment.
It says just because we have listed some of your rights here in the Bill of Rights and in the Constitution, that's not an exhaustive list. It says that all of the rights are yours.
Congressman Justin Amash says his favorite part is
the Equal Protection Clause. You can't pass laws that don't apply equally to everyone.
Senator Mike Lee chose the 10th Amendment, which gives most government power to the states or the people. States do stupid things too.
Sure they do. But the difference is, with a state, you can turn around a lot faster.
Charles Kirk, who
I don't want to hear about Charles Kirk. I'm sorry. I didn't even want that bit to come up, but I wanted to play them last couple of clips too, because the Ninth Amendment, you ask me every Constitution Day when I see it online, what's your favorite constitutional amendment? I see so many people. The first, the second, the right to bear arms. They list off a bunch of them. I always list off the 9th because, to me, in spirit, the 9th suggests that, hey, we started listing this stuff because we kind of had to. We had to come to a compromise and start listing rights, but really, in all reality, you have a lot of rights. We couldn't possibly list them all, and I think that's the spirit of it. So, Constitution Day. What do you guys think about this? I actually asked this on Twitter. So let's go back to Chrome Split real quick. Because it's not where I want to be. I want to be here. Where hey, look, there's the Periscope where we're live. I asked this the other day. I asked this yesterday, in fact. It was after those polls, though. There it is right there. I think tomorrow I'll be taking to my live stream and talking a little bit about the Constitution. Here I am. I'm doing it. Promise fulfilled. You should probably vote for me when I start running for president in a couple years. What are your thoughts? Flawed yet necessary, a standard, a favorite passage or amendment? So we have Jimmy Davis from the Moderate Podcast saying, we might need to get familiar with the 12th and 20th Amendments. I'll let you guys look that one up, get where he's going at with that. Someone else, one of my buddies from Sarcasm and Liberty. Best attempt so far at a free society, but not a legally binding document. I'll play why in a minute. That's what I searched earlier. Joe Hartman, who we will have on the show eventually and actually make sure it records. Sorry, Joe. Ron Paul's farewell speech to Congress is an excellent critique of the Constitution. Dr. Paul was one of the few who actually lived up to the oath to support and defend the Constitution. His quotation here, our Constitution, which was intended to limit government power and abuse, has failed. Bob DiCostanzo, need to eliminate those elastic clauses. And Kimberly Phillips, since nothing is perfect, I'll go with flawed yet necessary. And that's how I feel about it. I feel that it is flawed but necessary. And sneak peek on one of the next topics that's going to be coming up, because I asked this in a poll too, and I'm still getting results from that. And I'm still compiling research on it too. But we'll go back to the Chrome Split one more time. The Electoral College, and I'm not going to read this entire thread because you can see it's a long one. But the Electoral College, yeah, hook them up, strap them, throw the switch. Electoral College, in short, is organized on precisely the same principle as the United States Congress, and for precisely the same reason. Neither institution recognizes population alone as the exclusive measuring rod for democratic legitimacy. That's something else that we're going to have to talk about in the coming weeks. I always see this Electoral College. People want to just up and ban the Electoral College and go. Most people I hear say popular vote only. Hate that. I'm not going to go into it why now, because I'm getting ready to wrap this episode, and that would be a tirade that we just don't need right now. But if we're going to change away from the Electoral College, we should probably analyze other voting styles. I think it's perfectly fine to question, is the Electoral College the best method? I know why people say yes. I know why those people that staunchly defend it say that. But the times have changed because we have not stayed staunch and true to original intentions, such as the Constitution, where people think, hey, let's just throw an amendment in the Constitution so that we can have this law or we can have this thing provided by the government, and boom, we're good. A fundamental misunderstanding of the Constitution. Now we're where we're at today, where I argue the Constitution has been whipped, battered, beaten, weakened, and nullified in some cases. With the Electoral College, this will come into play. We'll save it when we talk about voting and voting systems. But the Electoral College mimics, as it says, Congress. Things have changed since those times, including the fact that we popular vote for senators, which originally was not set up that way, which a lot of people are surprised to hear. So that's something that we'll dive into a little more nuance when I do the voting episode, which will be coming in a couple weeks. I'm actually, if you're out there and you have thoughts or people that you think I should talk to about voting systems, the Electoral College, or anything from a historic perspective on that, or a new approach perspective of checking out different voting systems and all that, send them my way, because I would love for it to be even more than just a me episode. I'd love other people to be involved in that as well, because people so easily just say, hey, it should be popular vote, should be popular vote, should be popular vote, and that's not what we're based on. That's not how any of our government is based, and it's just kind of bad policy anyway. It goes into mob rule, and I don't like that. I think a lot of people need to question and not like that too. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, guys, for checking it out. And for those of you who are checking it out on the podcast form, thanks for listening too. I know I don't have set times for live streams yet. I don't block out a time and make it a big event thing, so people come and go as they will on evenings like this for this kind of show. But we'll straighten that out a little bit more. If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at FritzQS, Facebook.com/TheFritzCast. It's actually below. It's been below this whole time scrolling. And you can email me at fritzcastpodcast@gmail.com, which I love getting emails from you guys talking about what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, so I can change those things. Guest suggestions, you guys have actually hooked me up with some good people in the past. And participation as well. People have sent me links. People have sent me links, cited sources, materials to check out. I love it all. So please keep it up. Love you guys. And the final thing that I can ask of you right now, if you liked this, there's a share button, probably right under whatever you're watching this on. Or you can find me on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, what have you, for the audio stuff. All I ask is that you click some stars, leave a little review, and share it with some buddies, because that helps grow the show. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next week when we do this again.